Hey there, welcome to Math 6, Unit 4, Lesson 10. Last couple lessons I wrote 8 on there, sorry about that. They've been Math 6. I'm not sure what I was thinking, that's okay. Let's look for patterns in this when we divide by a fraction. So first off, we are dividing by a whole number. Work with a partner. One partner should solve the problems labeled partner A, and the other should solve those labeled partner B. So let's take a look here. First of all, partner A says how many 3's are in 12? So we're looking for how many groups of 3 are inside of 12. As a division equation, we're asking for 12 divided by 3 equals what? And so you can look at here, we can draw out, we can look for 12 as a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's my 12 there. We're looking for how many 3's are inside of there. We can draw this out by saying that I have, in this case, well, we could do it like this, like we've been doing. We could say here's 12. That's exciting right there. And then we can say that I have one group of 3. I have another group of 3. 1, 2, 3. We have another group of 3 here. 1, 2, 3. And another group of 3 here. 1, 2, 3. So in total, we could say that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. If we ask how many 4's are in 12, that's a division equation. Same idea, we're saying 12 divided by 4 equals what number? And so we come out and we make our 12. Make it the same length as the last one here. So that's 12. That's our blue. We're looking for groups of 4 this time. So we'll come out and go 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll go with the green, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have still 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, nothing really left over. So we have 1, 2, 3 groups there. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. If we ask how many 6's are in 12, can we still have that right there? That's our 12. Right? And so we're asking how many groups of 6 are inside of 12. So we can count these up, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, I went up to 7. Sorry about that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. There we go. So we have 2 groups. As a division equation, it's 12 divided by 6 equals 2 groups, just like that one. Okay, so that's partner A, which you're working on. Partner B has 12 groups of 1/3. What is 12 groups of 1/3? Okay, 12 groups of 1/3. So as a multiplication equation, this is 12 groups of, so the of is multiply, of 1/3. That's what we're looking at. 12 groups of 1/3. So in this case here, we're going to make 12 groups. Come out this way and draw this like so. And because I'm talking about thirds, I can divide everything like this. I'm going to divide my whole 12 into 4s, like so. And by dividing that into a group like this, I have 4, and I have 12 altogether. The reason I did 12 is I went 12, 4 and 3 work with 12. And so really what I have is I have thirds by looking at like this. These are all thirds. Okay. And so we have 1/3 inside of here. So 1/3 inside of here, and a whole is going to be there. So when I take 12 and I look at how many, I'm going to be 12 groups of 1/3. This is 1/3, and I'm doing it 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 12 times 1/3. If you multiply that across, you end up with 12 over 3, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So you can see here that when I look at it, it takes 3 groups of 1/3 to make a whole. We see that? So here's 1 and 2 and 3, and when I have all 3 of those there, I end up with a whole, right? I end up with a whole one, which is what I'm trying to find out. How many wholes would I end up getting? In this case here, I have 1, 2, 3, and 4 is what I end up with. Let's look at the next one for partner B. We have 12 groups of 1/4. So again, we're going to pretend that each square is equal to a fourth. So if this is 1/4, we'd have 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. So 4 of them all together makes 1, right? So this is 1/4 all the way there, but I'm going to have 12 groups of that. So that's 4, and then 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll make it a group of 4. The reason I'm doing a group of 4 is because 4 of them equal a whole. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 there, like so. So we have 12 times 1/4 equals 1, 2, 3, because it's 12 over 4, and that becomes a 3. And finally, 12 groups of 1/6. Again, the idea is this is a group of 1/6. We'll call that 1/6, and we're going to have 12 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them right there. Once I have 6 of them, I have a whole group, don't I? So let's do another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And so now I have another one. So I have 1 group and I have 2 groups. So 12 times 1/6 is equal to 12 over 6, which is equal to 2. So what do you notice about the diagrams and equations? Discuss that with your partner. So take a moment to do that there. Oops, I hope I had that up the whole time. Did I push it up too low? So sorry about that. Hope I didn't do that again. What do you notice about pictures? Discuss that with your partner there. Alright, complete the sentence. Based on observations, dividing by a whole number, A, produces the same result as multiplying by 1 over A. Okay? So when I divide by a whole number, 12 divided by 3 is the same as 12 multiplied by 1/3. It's the same idea is what we're talking about. So just like in the prior lesson, when we had divided by a third, we would multiply by the reciprocal. The same thing works this way as well. Okay, activity number 2, dividing by unit fractions. To find the value of 6 divided by a half, Elena thought, how many halves are in 6? We've done that as well. How many halves are in 6? And drew a tape diagram. It shows 6 ones with each one partitioned into 2 equal pieces. So she made a 1 here, and a 1, and a 1, and it's 6 ones, and divided them each into halves. It showed 6 ones with each one in 2 places, so 6 divided by half. For each expression, complete the diagram using the same interpretation of division as Elena's. Then write the value of the expression, think about how to find that value without counting the pieces in the diagram. So, in this case here, we go back to our first one. If she wanted to find out how many halves are in 6, we could also again think of that as what? Multiplying by the reciprocal, which would come up with 12. When we take a look at this, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The goal here is not to count out 12, right? So in the next one, she did 6 divided by thirds. So here's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and she takes each 6, and instead of dividing into half, she divides them into thirds, right? Which would be like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We can see there are going to be quite a number of them there, aren't there? But we also recognize that dividing by a third is the same as multiplying by 3, which tells us the value of the expression would be 18. And we don't need to count them up, but you certainly could if you wanted to. And our next one, which hopefully I'll put on the screen this time, she takes her whole 6 and wants to divide each one into fourths. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, which makes 4. 1, 2, 3 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 makes 4. And 1, 2, 3 makes 4. So now each one of these little sections here has been chopped up into 1/4, and we're wanting to find out how many 1/4 are in the whole thing. Again, 6 divided by 1/4 is the same as saying 6 times 4, and 6 times 4 is 24. And you could check it by adding all of them up if you chose to. And then finally, 6 divided by 1/6 means we're going to take this guy here and break it up into 6 pieces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I have a whole lot of pieces there, and we want to count up how many of these itty-bitty pieces are there. But because I know that 6 divided by 6 is the same as 6 times 6, right? 6 over 1. And 6 times 6 is 36. Then I'm all done without having to count them all up. Analyze the expressions and your answers. Look for a pattern. How did you find how many halves, thirds, fourths, and sixths were in 6 without counting? Well, again, that's the conversation. What did we do? We looked at a half and said that's the same as multiplying by 2. We looked at a third and said that's the same as multiplying by 3. The fourth was the same as multiplying by 4, and the sixth was the same as multiplying by 6, which made finding the solutions to our problems much easier than counting up a whole bunch of numbers on the tape diagram. So using those observations now, we're going to find some values for us from the questions here. If you get stuck, you can draw diagrams, but hopefully you won't need to. Alright, so 6 divided by 1/8 is the same as 6 times 8 over 1 if you want to think about it, which is 48. 6 divided by 1/10 is the same as saying 6 times 10, or 10 over 1, which equals 60. 6 divided by 1 over 25 is the same as saying 6 times 25 over 1, which is equal to 150. And 6 divided by 1 over b is the same as doing 6 times b over 1, which is equal to 6b. Same thing is true when you go over here. We have 8 divided by 4, which is the same as doing 8 times 4, and 8 times 4 is equal to 32. For b, we have 12 divided by 1/5, which is the same as saying 12 times 5, which is equal to 60. For a divided by 1/2, that's the same as doing a times 2, which is the same as 2a. And here, finally, a divided by 1 over b is the same as a times b, which is simply equal to ab. Activity number 3. Dividing by non-unit fractions. To find the value of 6 divided by 2/3, Elena began to draw a diagram the same way she did for 6 divided by 1/3. Use your diagram to find out how many 2/3 are in 6, and adjust and label the diagram as needed. Okay, well in this case here, she wants to find out how many 2/3 are in 6. So, we know that as before, 6 is our big box, right? That's what we're talking about here, and we want to find out how many groups of 2/3 are in there. So, to do this here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to highlight 2 out of the 3, which looks like that. 2/3 there. And we're going to do 2 over here. So there's a 2/3. And here's a 2/3. And here's another 2/3. Followed by another 2/3. Followed by another 2/3. Followed by another 2/3. And so far what we can tell is that math is faster than art. Okay, so how many 2/3 are in here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 6 divided by 2/3 is equal to 9, is what we're saying. If that's the case, let's double check here. Is 6 times 3 over 2 equal to 9? Well, 6 times 3 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is indeed 9. So she says, to find 6 divided by 2/3, I can just take the value of 6 divided by 1/3, then either multiply it by a half or divide it by 2. And do you agree with her? Well, Well, we would say, yeah, we agree with her. And that's because a third plus a third, right, is going to be equal to 2/3, right? So a third, well, divided by 2. Sorry, I'm double checking my things here. So take the value of 6/3. Yeah. So if we do 6 divided by 1/3, let's double check. 6 divided by 1/3, that's going to be equal to 18, right? Now, if we multiply it by a half, that's going to be times a half, which is going to equal to 9. Now, does that work the same answer? Yes, it does. So it works out just fine. So what she's doing is how many 1/3 are in the whole thing, and then because it's 18 of those, we're going to cut each of those in half to say we end up only with 9. So we would agree that would work out just fine. Sorry, second guessing myself for a second there. Number 2, for each division expression, complete the diagram and write the value of the expression and think about how you could find it without counting. So 6 divided by 3/4. Okay, so the same idea here is I certainly could count up my 3/4, right? I could say here's a group of 3/4 here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. Let me color my other ones real quick. Groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3, groups of 3. And so we can see that we're doing 6 divided by 3/4. There's my 6 right there. So in terms of how many groups there are going to be, I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I know my value of my expression is going to be 8. Is there another way of looking at this? Sure. This is the same as 6 times 4 over 3. And I know that I can reduce this to 2 over 1, and 2 times 4 is 8. So I could work that out without worrying about it here. I can also do this way here and think about 6 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24, and then we're going to divide that by 3, which is going to be equal to 8 as well. When we look at the next one here, 6 divided by 4/3, again, 6 is the whole group here, and I'm going to put it into groups of 4 out of 3. Well, that's going to be a little bit larger. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So far, just like normal, right? And then 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And then, uh-oh, for the first time in a while, I have some extras, don't I? Okay, so what do we see happening here? We know that we have for sure 1, 2, 3, 4 whole groups. But I also have this part right there. That part there is I have 2 parts, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces to make a whole. So I have 2 out of 4 right here. Meaning that once again, I actually have 4 and a half. Because 2/4 is the same as a half, is the value of the expression. When you look at this part here, it's the same as doing 6 times 3, which is 18, and then dividing that by 4. And 18 divided by 4, 4 goes into 18 4 times, and that gives you left with 2 left over and 4, which is the same as 4 and a half. Let's do one more of these for this part, and before we get to number 3. We have 6 divided by 4/6. And again, the same idea. We can go ahead and shade that in there, but we could also look at saying this is 6 times 6 over 4. And 6 times 6 over 4 is 36 divided by 4, and 36 divided by 4 is equal to 9. So it gets a little faster at some point as well. We could do 6 times 6 is 36. And then we're going to divide by 4, which equals 9 there. And again, we could draw that with the pictures here as well. Elena studied her diagrams and noticed that she always took the same 2 steps to represent the division by a fraction on a tape diagram. She said, my first step was to partition each one whole into as many parts as the number in the denominator. So if the expression is 6 divided by 3/4, I would partition one whole into 4 parts. Now I have 4 times as many parts. And she's right. That's a lot of parts. So if you have a large denominator, you're going to have a lot of little boxes there. That's where it gets too much to mess with. My second step was to put a certain number of those parts into one group. Okay, and that is a number in the numerator of the divisor. So the fraction is 3/4, I would put 3 of the 1/4 into one group. And then I could tell how many 3/4 are in there. Right? So just like here, 1, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She would put them all in one group, and that would allow her then to count up how many were going to be in a whole thing. Okay? So that's the idea. This is actually 4, 6. So that was our 4, 6. And that one. Okay. Which expression represents how many 3/4 Elena would have after these two steps? Be prepared to explain your reasoning. Okay, so how many 3/4 she would have? So, in this case here, what we're talking about is what she's doing is she's really doing this part right there. Okay, so what's happening here is we're looking for how many groups of 3/4 are in everything. So what she's doing is she's saying I'm taking the 6, the whole, and then I'm multiplying it by the denominator, which is 4, to make up that many large pieces. And then, this is my numerator part, I'm dividing by that part there. So if you think about it, if she's doing 6 divided by 3/4, what is she doing? She's doing 6 times 4, and then she's dividing by the numerator, which is 3. So that matches choice C right there. So use your work from the previous questions to find the values of the following expressions and draw a diagram if you get stuck. Okay, let's do this here. So what we're saying is we're going to do 6 times 7, and 6 times 7 is 42, and then we're going to divide it by the numerator, which is 2, and 42 divided by 2 is 21. For the next one, we'll do 6 times 10, which is 60, and then we're going to divide it by the numerator, which is 3. 60 divided by 3 is 20. And then finally we're going to do 6 times 25, which is 150. And we're going to divide it by the numerator, which is 6 again, and we're back to 25. Alrighty. Let's take a look at our summary for this lesson. Alright, to answer the question, how many thirds are in 4, or what is 4 divided by 1/3, we can reason that there are 3 thirds in 1, so that there are 4 times 3 thirds in 4. In other words, dividing 4 by 1/3 has the same outcome as multiplying 4 by 3. Those are the same outcomes there. In general, dividing a number by a unit fraction 1b is the same as multiplying by b, which is the reciprocal of 1b. And that's really our final big takeaway here, which is what you did in 5th grade a little bit, from what I'm understanding, and now we're kind of just showing it in more detail with these illustrations here. So how can we reason about 4 divided by 2/3? Well, we can think about 4 divided by 2/3 as that we already know that there are 4 times 3, or 12 groups of 1/3 in 4. So there's 4, and we can get 12 groups of 1/3 in there. Great. To find out how many 2/3 there are in 4, we need to put together 2 of every of 1/3. So there's 2, and that results in half as many groups, which is going to be 6. In other words, 4 divided by 2/3 is the same as 4 times 3, check, divided by 2, check. In general, dividing a number by AB is the same as multiplying the number by B and then dividing by A, or multiplying by the reciprocal. That's your big takeaway after all of those lessons there. Okay, so let's pause there, let you work on your homework, and we'll come back and check in a moment. Alright, Priya is sharing 24 apples equally with some friends. She uses division to determine how many people can have a share if each person gets a particular number of apples. For example, 24 divided by 4 equals 6 means that if each person gets 4 apples, 6 people can have apples. Here are some other calculations. 24 divided by 4 equals 6, 24 divided by 2, alright, so if everybody gets 2 apples, then 12 people can come, everybody gets 1 apple, 20 people can come, if everybody gets half an apple, then we have a question mark there. Well, we could talk about that in just a second, but it's actually going to be an answer down below. So Pride thinks the question mark represents a number less than 24. Less than 24. Do you agree with that? Well, we've said before that when you divide a big number divided by a small number, that let's say if you had 4 divided by 2, you end up with, in this case here, 2. Well, let's back up here. Do you think it's going to be more or less? Well, so far, when she divided by, everyone gets 4 apples, you get 6. When the number got smaller, our answer got bigger. When the number got smaller, it got bigger. So in this case here, if it's even smaller than 1, I would expect this to be greater than 24. That's what I think, first of all, in terms of reasoning, just looking at the pattern there was happening. In the case of 24 divided by a half, how many people can have it? Well, 24 divided by a half is the same as 24 times the reciprocal of a half, which is 2, which equals 48. So 48 people could share 24 apples evenly if they each only had half of an apple. Number 2. Here's a centimeter ruler. Use ruler to find 1 divided by 1/10 and 4 divided by 1/10. Alright, so for 1/10 we have centimeters, and in a centimeter what we know is that these are already broken up into tenths right there, right? So 1, how many 1/10ths are inside of 1? 1 divided by 1/10 is going to be what's all in right here. How many are right here inside of 1/10? How many 1/10ths are inside of there? There are going to be 10 inside that space. These are all 1/10ths. Hard to count, but there are 10 there. Because 1 times 10 is 10, and we're good to go. How many 1/10ths are inside of 4? Well, if there's 10 inside of there, that means we're going to multiply that by 4 to give us 40 inside of there. What calculation do you do each time? We take our whole number, we multiply it by the denominator, and we could say we divide it by the numerator, but it's just divided by 1, so it's pretty simple there. So how do we do this one here? Same way. We're going to do 18 times 10, which is 180, divided by 1, just leave it where it is. We'll do 4 times 10, which is 40, divided by 2, which is 20. And finally, 4 times 10, which is 40, we're going to divide it by 8, which is going to be 5. Number 3, just find each quotient. So we're going to do 5 times 10 is 50, divided by 1 is still 50. 5 times 10 is 50, divided by 3. Well, that's not one I know, so I'm going to leave it as 50 over 3, and that's okay. And then 5 times 10 is 50, divided by 9. We'll leave it as 50 over 9. Could you write it as a mixed number? You certainly could if you chose to do that. That would be just fine. Alright, number 4. Use the fact that 2½ divided by 1/8 equals 20 to find 2½ divided by 5/8. Explain or show your reasoning. Okay, so what we're saying here is that I have 2½ which is, in our case here, a lot. Let's go 2½, let's go 1, let's go 2, and let's do a half, and we'll just draw a line there for a half. And we know our denominator is 8, so we break this up into sections of 8, right? So that's fourths, and this becomes 8. That's fourths, and then this becomes 8, and this is fourths, and then this becomes 8s. Alright? So, because we know that there are 20 of these 1/8s inside of this amount here, 20 inside of there, we don't need to count. If I know how many 5/8s are in there, then it's going to be a little different, right? The 5/8s are going to be out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, I should use a different color. That's okay. We have 5 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Back to my normal color. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Okay, so we can see that we have 4 already, but let's think of it this way. This is 2 times 4, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So really what we're dealing with is we're dealing with 5 over 2 divided by 1/8. And we had 20 before, right? Which was going to be 5 times 8 is 40, divided by 2 is 20. And now we're doing 5 times, in this case here, we're doing 5 over 2 divided by 5 over 8. When I flip that and multiply it out by the reciprocal, I end up with 5/2 times 8 over 5, which means that my 5's are going to cancel out, and I'm left with 8 over 2, which simply equals 4. Okay? Number 5. It takes 1 week for a crew of workers to pave 3/5 kilometers of a road. At that rate, how long will it take to pave 1 kilometer? So we're looking for how many days, we're looking for, yeah, pretty much days, days for 1 kilometer. Right now, it took 1 week. It took 7 days, and they got 3/5 of a kilometer. That's what we know so far. So, division multiplication equation, our division one we're going to use is 7 divided by 3/5. Right, is going to equal, yeah, it's going to equal that. Now, I wrote 1, I'm looking at my notes here. My notes, I left it as 1, not 7. So if we did weeks, let's back up here. If we kept this as weeks, we would make this 1 divided by 3/5. Let's just do that. That's my notes show me there. They didn't really ask about days or weeks, so sorry about that. So that's division. Multiplication would be 3/5 times something equals 1. Okay, and so again, if I draw this out as fifths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're looking for, right now we know that 3/5 is done in 1 week, right there. So 1 week is here, and we get a fifth, and a fifth, and a fifth. And we're looking for how many more days it's going to take to get this all worked out. So in 1 week, they got 3/5 done. There's 2/5 more to go, and what we see is that there are actually how many boxes left? There are 2 boxes left, and it takes 3 groups to make a whole, so there's 2/3 left. So to go for the whole week, the whole thing is going to take the 1 and 2/3. Let's see how this works out here. 1 divided by 3/5 is the same as 1 times 5 over 3, which equals 5/3. 3 goes into 5 one time with 2 left over for 1 and 2/3. So that actually works out the same as our picture, and we're okay. Number 6, a box contains 1 1/3 pounds of pancake mix. Jada uses 7/8 pounds for our recipe. What fraction of the pancake mix in the box did she use? So how much of the box did she use? Okay, so what do we know? We know we're looking for what is our fraction used out of the whole mix. Okay, we know that there she used 7/8 out of the 1 3/4 available. That's what she used. She used 7/8 out of the 1 3/4. This is 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. So I have 7/8 divided by 7/4. When I flip that around, I have 7/8 times 4 over 7. Those are going to reduce to 1 over 1. I'm left with 4 over 8, which is the same as a half. So, what fraction of the pancake mix did she use? She used half of the pancake mix for that recipe. Okay? Alrighty. Number 7. Calculate each percentage mentally. Alright, so 25% of 400. Okay, so we're thinking about dividing this into fourths essentially, because that's 25% is a fourth. So that's going to be 100. Because why? It's a quarter of it. So this is like, I think, well, what times 4 gets me to 400? 100 times 4. 50% of 90, so half of 90 is 45. I wasn't sure, I could think about 10% is 9, and then 9 times 5 is 45. All right, 75% of 200. Okay, good question. Well, mentally I could say, well, I know 75% of 100 is equal to 75, and 200 is times 2, so 75 times 2 is 150. One way of thinking about it. 10% of 8,000 is move the decimal over 1, and so it's 800. And then 5% of 20. Well, 10% is 2, right? So because I know 10% equals 2, 5 is half of 10, so half of 2 is 1. And that's all there is. We're done with that part there. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.